Greetings everyone. Welcome to Southern New Hampshire University Criminal Justice 104, CJ 104, Ethical Leadership. Today we're going to talk about the final project a little bit. There are 5 parts to your final project. All of this is in the assignment guidelines and rubric document. You can find parts of it also in Module 2, Module 4, and Module 6. The completed one is in Module 7. You can also find all of it in course information. So the first section of your paper is will be unethical behaviors. You're going to write about that. Second part, you're going to write about contributing factors, the role of leadership, your practices, course of action, and then the conclusions. So when we look at that first milestone 1 that you submitted in Module 2, 2-2 was the assignment, you should be able to cut and paste that document. You should be able to take that paper that you turned in, and maybe you had to make some revisions or tune it up, or maybe you still have to, cut and paste that into your final project. That's the first part of it. So the only thing you may have to do is some fine-tuning, some editing to smooth it out. There are 2 grading rubrics that are out of the 11 that are in your final assignment. They're the same ones that were in Milestone 1, Assignment 2-2. This part of your final project should be maybe 2 or 3 pages long to give you an idea. Now, of course, there is an example, a sample narrative that I have sent to all of you. It is in the Module 7 announcements. I emailed it to everyone, but just in case you didn't see it, here is a full paragraph and part of a second paragraph about unethical behaviors. And it says, ethics is the study of morality. And there's the citation. Morality by which the score unit officers in this case study did not abide. These officers, quote, while acting under the color of law, did willfully conspire and agree with each other and with other persons known and unknown to the grand jury to injure, oppress, threaten, and intimidate. That's straight out of the U.S. court document. Pretty much lays out what they did. They used their role in society to take advantage of people and conduct unlawful searches and seizures, which resulted in taking property that they were denied under due process. There's your introduction of facts. As Plato and Aquinas identified, wisdom, courage, temperance, and justice are the 4 cardinal virtues because they focus on the ideal society. The decision to use their power for their own personal gain by the definition of moral virtue was completely unethical. And then it goes on for another couple of pages. So there's your example. Contributing factors, milestone 2. This would have been in Module 4, Week 4, Assignment 4-2. Same thing. If you did pretty well on it, if you've made your revisions to it, you shouldn't have to do too much. Cut and paste it into the document. Make sure that there's a nice transition from Module 1 to Module 2. There are 2 grading, in the grading rubric there are 2 critical elements for this one also. This part of your paper should be probably 2 or 3 pages long. Just like before, Module 7 announcement, I emailed it to everyone, but just in case, here is part of a sample narrative. Contributing factors. Corruption, peer pressure, and a lack of ethics contributed to the crimes that Sillings, Bell, and Forrest committed. Pretty good statement sentence, a topic sentence. We know where this paragraph is going. The outside factors impacting them were the acceptance of corruption within the unit and the peer pressure that came with the corruption. No one questioned what these officers were doing, and all of them committed the same crimes to one extent or another. People too often are influenced by subjective conditions. Seeing that these crimes were accepted and that their peers got a sense of joy from committing these acts made it seem okay to partake in these actions. Forrest even claimed to feel influenced by his peers. Had he been in a different atmosphere or had different training, who knows if he would have made the same moral mistakes. Sample paragraph. The role of leadership, milestone 3. This was assignment in Module 6, 6-2. Same thing, you should be able to cut and paste that directly into your final project. There are 2 grading rubrics that are the same as they were for, I have a typo there, it says the Module 1 paper. It should be the Module 6 paper. This is part of your final project, should be 2 or 3 pages. And in the example again, here's what it might look like. Role of leadership was lacking in this department. The fact that an anonymous neighbor had to call in a tip shows that leadership failed. These officers should have had someone to report to, and that someone should have been aware of the actual actions taking place. There is a lot of accountability that is missing in this department. Along with this, leadership in the group of these 3 alone could have made a difference. Any of these 3 officers could have put an end to this behavior and brought it to the attention of the department, but instead they all made the unethical decision to take part in theft and abuse of power. Supervisors have to recognize and proactively address potential ethical violations before major problems develop. Okay, so there's a sample. Your practices, course of action part 4. This is where, now you haven't written anything about this, so you're going to have to write this part of the paper, okay? There are 2 critical elements. It's going to be 2 or 3 pages long, and in the example it says your practices or course of action. Things that could have been done differently to make sure that malfeasance and misfeasance did not occur might have been the implementation of annual ethics training, review of the policy and consequences regarding the violations of ethical conduct, and check and balance throughout the department from the supervisory level down. Such checks and balances could be used in conducting incident briefings. The staff attending should include the entire search team, including supervisors. In briefing, the entire plan for the mission can be laid out, including search, seizure objectives, legal scope of the search, and then it continues. So you should get some idea. The conclusion, part 5, part of the paper you're going to have to write. 2 critical elements that are in the grading rubric, okay? Should be 2 or 3 pages long. Here is the example conclusion. Ethics provided the way to see that there is a greater purpose to life than self-interest. Ethics are not only important in the criminal justice profession, but in life itself. In the daily demands of the criminal justice profession, it is important to remember that there are more important things in life than you getting your way. Being in this field shows people how much their actions can make a difference. We're in the position to save lives and to create safety in the community. It is also important that the public sees us and perceives us that way. The people need to have trust and faith in their justice system. They need to be able to call for help and know that they will be in good hands. This is why, as criminal justice professionals, it is important that as we make decisions, we make them with ethics in mind. Every action we take with the public makes an impact on how they perceive us. Okay, at the top of the, or I shouldn't say at the top, it's actually on the cover page, there is a note about the sample narrative, some things I want to point out to you. This paper isn't perfect, but it does meet all the grading rubric elements, 11 of them. If you successfully completed milestones 1, 2, and 3, you should be in great shape. Insert those 3 into your paper at the beginning of your final project. You'll see them in this example document. You'll need to edit and make sure everything flows. The final part of the project are the only the only 2 things you have to write. A course of action, I have missing a capitalization there. Your practices and the conclusion. That should be the only 2 portions you have to write. Please use this paper as a template or a guide or even a checklist to walk you through the final project. If you have questions, need help, please let me know. Keep those cards and letters coming.